Hello, and thanks for joining us on Movie Night Memories You Must Remember This, a podcast that focuses on movies and our favorite memories of them. Each week we discuss the films that are celebrating an anniversary from when they came out in theaters. My name is Sword Alexander, and I'm joined by the inspiration of this podcast, my mom, Tracey.
Good evening.
This week we're talking about films released between June 29th and July 5th. We're going to be talking about Airplane, The Blue Lagoon, Back to the Future, About Last Night, Adventures in Babysitting, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Apollo 13, The Devil Wears Prada, Magic Mike, and The Lone Ranger. This week we decided to see Airplane, Back to the Future, About Last Night, Adventures in Babysitting, Apollo 13, and The Devil Wears Prada to get a fresh look and discuss them in more detail. But let's talk about the other films first.
First up is The Blue Lagoon, released July 5th, 1980, celebrating a 45th anniversary. Set in the late 1800s, a 7-year-old girl and 9-year-old boy are stranded on an island from a shipwreck. Through trial and tribulation, they manage to survive for years, growing into puberty and discovering love and companionship with each other. Brooke Shields and Christopher Atkins star in this controversial yet well-remembered film.
So you saw this movie in theaters?
Yes, I did.
So I know people, did people really talk about it? And if in case people don't know, we're going to talk about some spoilers for some of these movies. I think including the Blue Lagoon on this one. Blue Lagoon's a very interesting film. And depending on who you talk to, there's different opinions on how people feel about them too. More specifically because they talk about and show nudity among the two leads, Brooke Shields and Christopher Atkins, and they're both underage during this film as well. But there's a purpose for it. It's because it's about them falling in love, and they're two kids who are, like we said, stranded on an island. So they have no choice but to be forced to go back to their primitive roots, per se.
Yeah, Brooke Shields actually had a body double.
In some parts of it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about Christopher Atkins, but I know there's a big publicity about Brooke Shields more than the young man during the making of this film and marketing of this film about Brooke Shields. She was and still is a very attractive woman, and it was a very well done film.
I agree. I think, despite, if you take away the controversy, I think the film, I know what the director was doing, and I really do appreciate what he did with it. We never saw it as a rewatch this week, but I remember it pretty fondly when we first saw it a few years ago, and when I first saw it a few years ago.
I saw it in the theaters. I saw it with my theater group, and it was very captivating, this film. It showed innocence and how they had to deal with losing their family, and how they had to deal with growing up and trying to learn about dealing with each other and their hormones and everything. And it was really sad how they had to deal with being on an island and everything. It was a very sweet movie, but at the same time very tragic what they had to deal with.
Yeah, as a viewer, I found myself really sucked into the story and the characters, and I do appreciate what everybody was trying to do making this film. And I think it did a pretty dang good job really showing that story and having the relationship. It felt very natural at times. But I do, if I have to really look back and look at it from a objective point of view, it did make me uncomfortable at times watching how many shots were them being naked or topless around each other. It did make me uncomfortable watching it the first time around. But, like I said, I understand at that point in time and the story they were trying to tell, but I will admit that there are things that you don't have to see as often. You shouldn't have to show as often as you do, and I can see where the criticism comes from, and I do respect why the criticism is there at that point in time. But it's one of those things where this is a product of the times. It's a product of its own times and of the director's vision, and I don't think it ever should be made in a different way, in a more modern way. But I think as a film, it's perfectly good. That's pretty much all I can really say about it.
Yeah, it I still love the beauty and the innocence of the film.
I agree. There was a lot of niceties about the innocence of, both the actors are great in it. Christopher Atkins and Brooke Shields, they're both excellent in it. They really show their chemistry. It does get awkward at times with how often they show, their nude underage bodies, but
I don't.
It depends on
they still
the
had
situation.
Covering. They still had covering.
They did have covering. They weren't nude the entire time. Yeah, it just over time it did get a little excessive. But in general, I think it was a very well-made film and something that it's something that you can never really get to experience again. It's 45 years. I mean, that's a big.
Yeah. And she still looks great. She still wore a little red dress at the Tony Awards. She still looks great at 60 years old.
Yeah, that's great. So next up is Terminator 2 Judgment Day, released July 3rd, 1991, celebrating a 34th anniversary. Argued as the best sequel in film history, Arnold Schwarzenegger is back as the Terminator, reprogrammed by John Connor of the future to save his younger self from a new Terminator with shape-shifting abilities. Linda Hamilton also reprises her role as Sarah Connor, who joins the fight to save both her son and the future of the human race. It's one of the best movies of all time.
This was such a great sequel. One of the best, if not the best. And the story and how they did it was incredible. I'll be back. And this is a I'll be back sequel that I would love to see. I've seen it so many times.
Did people dress up as the Terminator and stuff going to the movie?
Oh, yes. Yes, they did. And wore the glasses, wore the black leather jackets, and kept saying, I'll be back. We're back for the Terminator, and stuff. And it was great. We couldn't wait to see this sequel.
What was a big moment in the theater while the movie was being played that you remember that really shocked people or made people laugh or anything that was really that was a moment that you remember?
Well, we knew. Some people didn't know that hadn't looked into the sequel that Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to be a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people didn't know that Arnold was going to be a good guy and was going to be battling the guy that turned into the Terminator, and that he was going to help save Linda Hamilton
and John Connor.
Yeah, so that's what was surprising to a lot of people. But we knew, we had already researched.
You guys looked into it. Everything.
Yeah. But a lot of people in the audience didn't know that Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to be the good guy.
Yeah, I have to say, this is one of the best. Not just one of the best sequels of all time, but one of the best films of all time. If you've never seen any Terminator movie, if you're listening to this, I urge you to watch the first movie and then watch the second one, because that way the impact is going to be even better. I saw the second movie first, and then I saw the first movie, and it was still great. Seeing it, it's just, you see that. Obviously, number one you should see first, and then the second one's going to be more epic when you see him come out as a good guy instead. It's great. I mean, I love this movie. I love to see it again. And next year, for sure, we'll watch it for the 35th anniversary when it comes up. You absolutely should see it. It's a fantastic film.
So it was Universal had the Terminator.
Yeah. Because
and they would come out on the stage with the big motorcycle. With the.
They had a big Terminator ride too for a long time. There was this Terminator ride at Universal Studios.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, is that the same thing, or I thought that was a different thing.
No, and he would come out, and it would be an Arnold lookalike, and it was really awesome. It was really cool back in the day.
Man, even its direct sequel, Rise of the Machines. Have you seen Rise of the Machines? The direct sequel. Yeah, I thought it was good too. I really enjoyed it. I saw it not too long ago.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but anyway.
I did enjoy it too. Yeah, anyway.
So here's the next film that we're going to discuss. Magic Mike, it's not about a magician, released June 29th, 2012, celebrating a 13th anniversary, loosely based around Channing Tatum's short career as a male stripper. A 19-year-old Adam is thrust into the world of an exotic nightclub and introduced into his lifestyle. I sort of coaxed Sword into seeing this film.
So why don't you tell us the story here?
We had seen some film. And it was a rainy day, and we didn't want to walk out into the storm. It was a major storm going on in Gainesville.
Yeah, I think it was like a 1 o'clock viewing from some other movie that we saw.
Yeah, and it was a major storm going on, and so I said, well, let's go see Magic Mike. And you're like, I'm not going to go see that. I said, oh, yeah, you are.
Yeah,
you are.
I'm 18 years old. Like, I don't want to see Magic Mike. I'm not the demographic for this.
I said, okay, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
I would tell you right now, I was really, I'm not throughout my time as a teenager, I was not one of those, like, I'm embarrassed and disgruntled by you, Mom, all the time. That was a moment where I was like, Mom, what are you doing?
And I said, you'll be surrounded by women. I said, you'll be surrounded by women screaming for men. I said, it'll be fun. So we went.
Yeah, I'll never forget it, that's for sure. But no, looking...
You can't even remember the movie we saw, but you remember that.
Yeah.
That's what's so funny. He remembers that, but he doesn't remember the movie we saw that day.
Oh, God.
So that's what, hey...
But looking back at it, I mean, I haven't seen the movie since it first came out. So since that moment, I really, honestly, I didn't hate it. I really think that I was very impressed by what it was like and how good it was. It was a very well done drama. Channing Tatum, it was my first chance of seeing him really act, and he did an excellent job. I had no idea he used to be a male stripper for a short time of his life, but it really was an impactful moment for him. And I mean, the movie was really well made, and I'm glad I saw it as a filmmaker's perspective. That way, I could kind of be inspired in future things that I would work on too. You were
impressed with the dance moves.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the choreography and how they put it all together. It does grip you. It's not some chick flick. It really has a lot of substance that people wouldn't give it credit for. I can't speak for the sequels, but that original, it really does have its moments of substance and flash. What did you think?
Yeah, I watched it for the articles. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep. So, anyway, last but not least is The Lone Ranger, released July 3rd, 2013, celebrating a 12th anniversary. A loose remake of the hit TV show from the 1950s, Armie Hammer and Johnny Depp star as the unlikely dynamic duo as the Lone Ranger and Tonto in this gritty, exciting story set in the Wild West. Now, full disclosure, we did start watching this movie this week. We've watched like the first half hour and then we stopped, not because we didn't like it. We've both seen this before. We both saw it in theaters. But because we had a lot of things going on, and we simply just don't have the time we just ended up not having the time to actually watch it all the way through. We had other plans, and we needed to stick with those plans instead, but we did see this in theaters, and what was your reaction, seeing it in theaters?
Oh, the cinematography, the special effects were incredible. I liked the chemistry between Johnny Depp and Armie Hammer when we first saw it was incredible. They really captured the Wild West.
Mm-hmm. Was this your first real introduction to the Lone Ranger TV show, or did you see it in the past?
I heard of the Lone Ranger. Danny, my brother, would always talk about the Lone Ranger and Kimosabe and Tonto, and I would see little excerpts from documentaries about the Lone Ranger and Tonto. And I'd see documentaries about it, and I'd see excerpts about it. But I've never seen the Lone Ranger. That was during my older brothers and sisters' time. Mm-hmm. But I always heard about it. So, but it wasn't during my time of TV. It was back in the 50s, I think.
No, I agree that this is a very exciting movie. It's a movie that I'm so glad we saw in theaters because it was so gripping and so exciting and crazy. I really, watching the first half hour again, I remember it like it was yesterday. I loved Johnny Depp and how he ate the scenery of every part of the movie. The first half hour, you see a good differentiation of scenes going on. There's different things going on at once in this big situation going on. And Johnny Depp, he plays it so well. Every time he's questioned about things, and you see his reactions looking at the camera, or kind of like looking close to the camera before just walking away from it. His body language perfectly encapsulates what he wants to say without saying it. And we're not talking about obviously the actors and what their history is and like their personal lives. We're not talking about that. We're going to talk about the art and the artists themselves and what they do with this art. And Johnny Depp is a premier actor. I love his work. I think he's really great in this. And
he is.
I wish we had more time to see this movie all the way through, because it is really, people do not like this movie. It was panned at the box office by critics.
And I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree. Like, I don't know what
I think it's going to be, and I said it then. I said I think it's going to be a cult film. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to end up being a film that's going to be loved later in life.
It deserves to be talked about more. It's a good overall, action adventure Wild West film, and it went through some controversy when it first came out, but look at it from a film's perspective. It was just really well done, and I really enjoyed it back then, and I know I'd really enjoy it if we finish it now. So, anything else you wanted to say about it?
Just really enjoyed the chemistry between those two.
Absolutely. So let's move on. We're going to be moving on to the first movie we saw this week. It's Airplane, released July 2nd, 1980. It was directed by Abraham Zucker, who did Ruthless People, which we talked about last week. It was also written by them as well. This was a parody of the classic film 0 Hour, not to be confused with the movie Airport, which just has a similar name. This is actually a parody of 0 Hour, which is a very similar plot of a pilot who has PTSD, and he has to get over his fear of flying again to save people on an airplane in the middle of the night. It's the same thing. It's the story of a retired fighter pilot who gets over his fear of flying and landing a 747 after the pilot suffered from major food poisoning.
It's hilarious.
This is it's one of the greatest parody films, if not the premier parody film of all time.
My family used to watch this film once a year, or at least.
If thinking back on it now as we're talking about this, I do remember watching this at Roxy and Kenneth's house.
We used to watch this once a year.
Yep.
It was one of our favorite films.
I do. I remember it now.
We would say the jokes over and over at our house all the time. It was just one of those family things. It was just...
This was my first introduction to Leslie Nielsen. My favorite joke... Gosh, do you have a favorite joke about this movie?
No, there's just so many.
Mm-hmm.
But... There's just so many. I don't even want to repeat them because I'm gonna look silly. But there's just so many. Have you ever seen a grown man naked?
That might be my favorite joke because it's just comes so out of nowhere. Like, it's shock humor more than anything else. Oh my gosh, there's so many great actors in this. It's just...
Shirley, you can't be serious. I am serious, so don't call me Shirley.
And that was like a real line from the movie. So listen, I was going to get the original movie that this was, and if we could watch it side by side, and we ended up not doing that. But I kid you not, when I downloaded this movie, legally of course, when I downloaded it, I sometimes I'll go through random clips just to make sure it's working, it's got the right language on, and the very same clip I just happened to click on was that scene where the actor says, "Surely you can't be serious."
And then there's the one about the hospital. Well, it's a big building with windows, but don't worry. Something like that. Whatever he says.
What's that? It's a big building with windows and people. That's not sick people. But that's not important right now. Oh, what about when the woman is like hysterical and everybody starts coming up to her? It's like, you gotta calm down. Splat. So you gotta calm down. And then it starts showing a line of people with weapons to like hit her with.
To make her calm down. And then how about jive?
The jive people. Oh my god.
And the woman speaks jive back to them.
Like this old lady speaks jive and they start back and forth with each other. Cut me some slack, Jack.
The whole movie is hilarious. It's just...
But then the first joke in the movie is something that you don't hear, that you have to really listen to, is the announcers on the messenger.
Yes.
The white lane is for passengers only. Listen, I'm sick of your shit, Bob. Don't give me that. I'd sleep with you. It's just fantastic. It's so great. This was so funny. It has a small budget, $3.5 million. That's $13 million today. And I normally don't do that, but show the inflation with now. But I wanted to show off how much money this movie made.
And it made $130 million.
Yes, but with inflation, it's $500 million in the box office. That is
insane.
It's insane for a parody movie to make that much money. It's even nowadays.
People went to go see it over and over.
Yeah,
they went to see it over and over because it made them laugh so hard.
So many good jokes. You got to come back to it. It really is one of those films that it's just great, absolutely great. I would give it 5 stars. It's a 5-star movie for me.
Yes, yep, absolutely.
Awesome. So next up is Back to the Future, released July 3rd, 1985, directed by Robert Zemeckis, who did Romancing the Stone, and it was written by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, who was actually kind of the inspiration for this movie itself, but we could talk about that later. In 1985, eccentric scientist Emmett Brown invents a time machine made from a DMC DeLorean and shows it to his friend Marty McFly, a high schooler with dreams of becoming a musician. Their future changes quickly when Marty accidentally travels back to 1955 and undoes his parents' meeting, causing him to slowly cease to exist.
You love this film. You've loved the Back to the Future trilogy since you were a little kid. I'm talking, I would say, 7 or 8 years old.
I can believe that.
7 or 8 years old, you started loving Back to the Future.
This is one of my favorite films of all time. It's celebrating 40 years now, which is awesome. We ended up seeing this with a couple of friends, Sandy and Steve. We invited them last night for movie night.
It was the 40th anniversary.
Yep, we had to celebrate it. We really wanted to, go over some memories with, Sandy and Steve too, and we had a great time. And it was really great to see this movie in 4K and see all the little details and things. And I've seen this movie like 5-10 times probably.
Sword, you have seen it more than that. Don't even. You have seen this
film.
I don't
count. I just watched the movie over and over again.
You've seen this film, I would bet 20 times.
Probably. Gene Siskel, and talking about the critics at the time, Gene Siskel praised the writing and directing for the film. He liked the focus on the story rather than trying to go for the lowest common denominator of jokes and going for the audience. They focused on the story and the humor of the story itself. He added that it receives his highest recommendation possible. He really pointed that out. Roger Ebert agreed, and he added that it reminds him of It's a Wonderful Life. And that's a very interesting take. When I first showed that to you, you really were studying that.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to think of how... But I was trying to think of how it wasn't that anyone didn't want to live. That's where I was feeling.
Yeah, there's nothing about that
not somebody didn't want to live and so.
But it is also in its way.
It's about
the correlations about how one thing can change the events of your life.
Yes, but so I was.
It's a very interesting take, and it's something that I can't agree with.
Things can change.
Yes.
If one small thing can change a person's life.
Yeah, how important one person
can
be to changing life. I'd say it's a very interesting and very unique take that I can appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love this movie. You saw it in theaters.
Yes.
And was it really did people line up around the theater begging to see it, or was it a sleeper hit, so when it came out, then it exploded?
No, it was not a sleeper. No. It was marketed. In fact, I was trying to tell you that Michael Jackson had a big promotion about Pepsi. So in the film, they show Pepsi free. And
which was their version of Pepsi with no sugar in it.
Yeah, but there was Diet Pepsi, but they were pushing this Pepsi free.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to call it diet; they called it Pepsi free. So, people were going to see it because they were marketing this film like crazy, and they were pushing Michael J. Fox, and he was the new heartthrob in this film.
They had a decent amount of product placement in this movie.
Yes.
They had Goodyear tires. They had, I think they had Kodak for a second, but they also had, obviously they had Pepsi.
Pepsi was the big one.
Yeah, Pepsi was the big one. They had JVC, the for the video camera.
Okay, but I'm telling you, Pepsi was the big one.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
Nike, they had Nike too.
But it was, I'm telling you...
Yeah, I believe you. I really do.
And that Michael Jackson was doing all these commercials for Pepsi, but they were really pushing this Pepsi free. Mm-hmm. And so when people would go see it, they correlated, and Huey Lewis did the song, and I was surprised Michael Jackson's music wasn't in it because of this Pepsi commercial.
Robert Zemeckis really wanted to give Huey Lewis and the News recognition. He wanted to give them some more spotlight. He really loved their music, and he approached them saying, "I really want you guys to be in this."
And he was in it.
Yeah, he ended up being in it. He was a cameo. He was one of the teachers who were judging the Battle of the Bands contest. And, I mean, this is one of the most classic American films of all time. I absolutely love it.
So when it got pushed, so people were going to go see it because of all the marketing they did for this film, and Michael J. Fox was also considered a new heartthrob.
So what do you really like about this movie that makes it stand out for you?
I I think it was Michael J. Fox. I like that Michael J. Fox was in it. He was so good on Family Ties, and I was when I'm thinking, it was him, and the about how he was so charismatic on film. He really was really good in this.
He captures it.
He really was so good in this, and how he played with all of the characters. He really captured that film, and how he played with all of those characters. He really stole the show in that movie. He really did a fabulous job.
And he worked day and night, because during the night he was doing this movie, and then there was day scenes too, but when he wasn't doing Spin City, he went and did Back to the Future.
I don't think he was doing Family Ties still.
Yeah. I mean, not Spin City, but Family Ties. But he was putting his entire life into both of those productions, and he was sleeping like 2 hours a night. It was killing him, but that he wanted to do this so badly, he kept going for it, and it really paid off in every sense of the word. I really enjoy it. I think it's one of the greatest American films of all time. But I have bias because I like it so much.
And he worked so well with all of the characters in that film.
Did everybody that year dress up as a Back to the Future, the characters for Halloween and whatnot?
Not really.
No,
I don't think so.
No. Do people talk about it a lot after it came out?
I think later it takes a while for. I think later Doc Brown's character. He was more like Einstein, came out. People dressed more like him later. It takes a while for people to set in, a film like that.
And are there any parts from the film during the theatrical experience that really stood out for people? Did you hear any kind of reactions in some parts of the movie? Laughter?
Well, when Sandy and Steve were here last night, Steve had said the funny part was when he had driven into that barn, and he came out of the DeLorean, and the little boy from the barn, from the family, had a comic book that talked about space invaders, and they thought it was a space invader. It scared him. He remembered that was a really funny part when he went and saw it in the theater.
Were there reactions?
I remember to this day when his mom was a teenager, and she came to see him and she recognized her voice, and he was waking up from sleeping, and he'd hit his head, and she called him Calvin Klein because he was wearing underwear that said Calvin Klein. I thought that the whole place erupted when she called him Calvin Klein.
It's all over your underwear.
It's all over your underwear, Cal. And I was shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, and that was a new thing. They were pushing Calvin Klein underwear too. See, that was another. They were pushing Calvin Klein underwear. I was like, oh, I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. Oh my God. I thought that was so embarrassing. She looked at his underwear, a teenager looking at a guy's underwear. So
she took off his pants, even though he hit his head solely just to see it. Which is, that's like Far and Away. Remember that? No, that's not like Far and Away. It's just like it.
That's really Far and Away, okay?
So, the difference is, though, with her, with Leah Thompson's character, it was pure teenage curiosity. With Nicole Kidman, it was just perversion. It was just being a pervert at that point. I just thought it was really funny.
Okay, we're not going there.
It's great. So what would you give this movie out of 5 stars?
5.
5. Okay, easy. Absolutely awesome. All right, next up, we're going to talk about Last Night. We're going to talk about Last Night.
We're going to talk about Rob Lowe.
We're going to talk about Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe and Demi Moore stars Danny and Debbie, who meet in Chicago. The film follows their story as they fall in love and learn just as much about each other as they learn about themselves.
I'll never forget seeing this film with my sister Roxy, and she says, he's prettier than Demi Moore. Rob Lowe.
That's great. So this is my first time seeing this movie. So this is what, your second, third, fifth time, 10th time?
I'm not saying.
Okay. So how does it differentiate from when you first saw it to now? Does anything really stand out to you that's different that you don't expect or anything like that?
Well, the girlfriend is so obnoxious. She gets worse and worse every time I see it. She gets so obnoxious and jealous of Demi Moore. It's disgusting.
Yep.
And you kept saying it, and I kept thinking, she really is. She really is. And because I'm just so focused on Rob Lowe.
We got to have him on the show one day. I think you wouldn't be able to say a word.
Oh. Oh, boy.
No, this is... Yeah, she was... So, the movie in general, though, I mean, this is my first time seeing it. So, when you saw this in theaters, did anybody, like, was it lined up? Was it really...
No. It was just a film that came out that nobody put,
It was a simple chick flick kind of thing.
No, it was a Rob Lowe film.
Okay. So...
No, it was. They talked about it. They talked about last night, but it was not like, it was not. It was just. But I knew it was coming out. My sister and I knew it was coming out. We went to go see it.
Well,
but Jim Belushi was fat in this one, and remember a few years later he was not.
He
went on a diet
pretty
and
thin.
Yeah,
and
got in shape.
And he ends up being in Only the Lonely, which is a very similar reason. He's the obnoxious best friend of John Candy's character. So he's the obnoxious best friend for Rob Lowe's character.
So he looked a lot different. He looked a lot healthier.
He did. He looks like.
But this film, I think, and just to say what your movie critics from back in the day.
So Roger Ebert loved the film. He said it was a genuine love story instead of a genre-focused film. So I guess they'd seen a lot of romantic films that they were really sick of. It was a really nice change of pace compared to other films they'd seen in the past. Gene Siskel also loved the film. He said he praised its writing and its acting, and he wanted to see a sequel about them a few years later. He really wanted to continue their story and see where it could go, which I didn't expect that. That is the last thing I would ever hear about this movie. So that really says something to me about the impact that it's had on somebody.
The way it ended, you wanted to see them back together. Mm-hmm. You wanted to see this couple back together. And see, this film, I think, was made because of St. Elmo's Fire. Mm-hmm. Because you wanted to see Rob Lowe and Demi Moore together. They were friends in that film. And then they made this movie, you're thinking, oh, is that them from St. Elmo's Fire? But it wasn't. It was two different characters.
And this was directed by Edward Zick, who did Legend of the Fall. It's a great drama, of course, with Anthony. God, what's his last name now? Anthony Hopkins, Brad Pitt. And it's a great movie. And
there's a bunch of great actors in that film.
I don't really see a directorial comparison between this movie and Legend of the Fall, but it shows that shows his abilities as a director.
The greatness
that you couldn't even tell the difference.
He captures people's emotions.
It's completely different visions. And it's just, that shows his versatility, which is great. Mm-hmm. And it was written by Tim Kaczynski. I'm sorry if I botched the name completely. He's an SNL actor. And Denise DeClue. I didn't get much information from her, but this was apparently a film that they were really interested in, too. But I thought the movie was fine. I thought it was good. I think there were parts that I really just could not stand the best friend characters. They were to the point where they were too obnoxious and they were written to be the antagonists, and it really bothered me. I felt that they went a little bit too far on the I'm an a-hole meter. It really irked me so much.
Yeah, but I was just so focused on Rob Lowe when I first saw it, and times after, I didn't care. I just wanted to. I just couldn't wait to the scenes with him.
I felt that their chemistry was very natural, and they really worked well together. I feel like they both did great, and you could really see the love they had for each other, but like the realistic couple situations they were dealing with too. That I really liked that aspect of it. They really played off of the film and their relationship with each other very well. And I like the way it was shot. It's just a good overall, love story. You want to see how it ends. You want to see how they go back and forth, up and down like a roller coaster. And yeah, I really don't have too much more I can say about it. So what would you give it out of 5 stars?
I'd give it a 3.
Yeah, I would give it a 3 as well. I think it's perfectly fine. Next up is Adventures in Babysitting, released July 3rd, 1987, directed by Chris Columbus, who did Only the Lonely, and other films we've been seeing lately, and it was written by David Simpkins. 17-year-old Chris Parker is called to babysit her neighbor's kids, but an attempt to rescue her friend Brenda from the Chicago bus station leaves everyone stranded downtown with no money and a broken-down car. What follows is a crazy night of escaping criminals, singing at a blues club, confronting relationships, and so much more.
This was a crazy, crazy film. I remember when I first watched it, it was even crazier than I remembered, and I enjoyed it tremendously watching it with you, Sword. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of fun.
This is the second time I've seen this movie. It is just as good as I saw it the first time a few years ago. I think I saw it during COVID quarantine. I just didn't write down that I saw it. And this is such a great movie.
The little kid reminded me of me when I was that age. Mm-hmm. I love Thor.
All the actors work so well off each other. I love the relationships between all of them. They work really great. And the situations are so funny. It really reminds me of, what was the movie I was just talking about that reminded me of? Now I can't think of it. Now I'm camera shy or something like that.
What camera?
Like, recorder shy, I guess. But man, this movie...
Are you have a camera in here and I don't know about it?
Just please find it. This movie is so well done. I really enjoyed it. The scenarios are just on the cusp of like towing the line.
You don't feel that they're being watched by a camera.
No.
At all. You don't feel that. You feel that they're actually in that scenario. Mm-hmm. And the sub-characters, the truck driver of that tow truck was tremendous with the one hook. The blues scene where they have to sing the blues, that was so funny. The other mean villains are they're so funny as hell. And things like that could happen when you're in a big city like Chicago in the wrong side of town.
Right. And what I was saying was that this film does such a good job towing the line between a realistic scenario and just on the cusp of like going way out of unrealistic circumstances.
Yes.
It really did a good job of, it was directly on the line of, how ridiculous could this be? Because, look, these scenarios would never happen in one night. However...
But it's supposed to be silly. This is the adventures.
It's supposed to be silly, yes. And at the same time, I could genuinely believe that any one of these situations could happen to somebody in Chicago downtown. Absolutely.
Well, remember when I said when they were driving through that bad neighborhood, and I said, it's going to have honky lips on their car.
Yeah, like from Vacation.
From National Lampoon's Vacation.
And that's where it does a good job of it. It knows exactly what it's doing. The audience understands exactly what it's doing, too. It doesn't try to tell you one thing and then do something else. It is exactly what it's supposed to do. Which, that sounds so stupid for me to point out as a positive. But there's so many movies that I've seen.
They're at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right, but there's so many movies that I've seen that say that they're going to be like this, just through their words, through their body, through the language of the film, through the mise-en-scène, the atmosphere of the film, and then it falls completely flat on its face by doing crazy stuff or doing stupid stuff that would never ever happen. This movie is the perfect example that needs to be studied by filmmakers and writers about how to do scenarios like this right without going far off the deep end.
But they do it where it's believable because they tell you it's going to be unbelievable. Mm-hmm. They make it so that you understand it's going to be unbelievable. So then you make it believable.
And then they have the believable moments, though, where, in the movie, she's dating this guy who's really supposed to be, really cool and stuff, and then she finds out he's cheating on her. And how do they find out? Just by going through Chicago and finding the car and finding the restaurant where he's at.
Well, that was the restaurant they were going to go to.
Right.
And then he takes another girl.
And that's a realistic scenario on top of the crazy, unrealistic escapades they're going through in the movie.
And then but during this process, she becomes more confident during this process. And so she says, I'm going in there and I want to see what's going on. And then she walks in and she sees him with another woman. Mm-hmm. Another girl.
So, did you see this in theaters?
No.
So, you saw it later on?
I saw it later on.
So, do people ever talk about that much?
No.
No?
No.
Complete sleeper hit.
Yes. Complete sleeper hit.
But what do you know?
I was shocked. Mm-hmm. I loved it. It really brightened my day when I watched it.
What would you give it out of 5 stars?
I gave it a 4, because there were some things in there, like when they were running to that building where the parents were. Mm-hmm. It would have been miles and miles and miles away. And they made it like it was around the corner. That was just being very technical here. And the little girl outside the window on that building with the windy city of Chicago, she would have died.
She would have been blown off that building.
Blown off that building, okay? So that was some things that really that was really unbelievable. So that's why I give it a 4. But overall, it was really a great, enjoyable film to watch.
I at the end of the day, I would usually be a little bit more picky about details, but I really did have such a good time watching it that I could see it over and over again. I give it a 5. I really do think there's a couple of little issues with it, sure, but I can let that go because it does such a good job at bringing everything together, bringing everything home, and it just all comes together. And I really enjoy a film that clearly cares about its audience, and it cares just as much about the vision that it wanted to create. And I think it's a timeless classic. 5 out of 5 for me.
And but another thing, the blues bar was too light. There's too much light in the blues bar.
Yeah, and
it should have been
scene.
darker.
Yep, and that was the best scene.
They should have just had what kind of light is that?
Spotlight.
A spotlight.
I don't know. I feel like they could have done without the spotlight, but I agree that
instead of having so light throughout the bar, they should have had just a spotlight.
It was a funny scene too.
Yeah.
That was just really well put together. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
We're moving on to Apollo 13, released June 30th, 1995, directed by Ron Howard, who's done so many great things. It was written by William Broyles Jr., who did Castaway, and it was also written by Al Reinert, who did a famous documentary about NASA called For All Mankind. The synopsis is it's a dramatic retelling of the real events of the Apollo 13 mission to explore the moon. Despite months of careful planning, a single coil inside the oxygen tank system causes an explosion that leaves the crew all but stranded in space. This is the 30th anniversary.
But this event happened in 1970 in April.
Yes.
So it's based on that event that happened in April of 1970, this mission, that they were supposed to go walk on the moon.
Yep, this was right after Apollo 11. They had Apollo 12 too, obviously, but this ended up becoming Apollo 13. So you saw this movie when it first came out?
Yes, but I think I didn't see it in the theaters. I think we waited because you were little, and we waited, your father and I, and said, we'll just wait until it comes out on video. But we heard all about it, and we were excited to see it.
Probably ended up renting it or something like that,
or we bought the video. I think we bought the video. I can't remember now, and waited and saw it, and we were like, it was an incredible film. Incredible film.
So this is an incredible film. It's I think it's one of the best films of all time.
Yes.
It's probably the best space movie of all time. Let's be honest here.
It's one of my favorites. Okay. I think, nothing touches it for me. I can think of.
I really could not think of anything that it could have done differently, or what could we not say that hasn't already been said before about this movie?
And when I say it's about realistic space exploration. Okay, realistic space exploration.
They did such a good job recreating the scenario and the emotions that these people could be going through. It's really impeccable. You can tell how much love and care was put into this.
You feel like you're there.
Yes.
You feel like you're actually there. And you're also there on Earth, what the women are going through, the loved ones. And you're in the control room too. It is just, I can't explain it. When I first saw it to the day I saw it recently, it's an amazing film.
It is. It really is.
And it makes me sad about Bill Paxton. Because he's in it.
It's one of his best films. It really is. He did... Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, Bill Paxton, they have such great chemistry working with each other. You see the highs and lows of it all. What really stuck out to me in this viewing of it is when one of the other pilot, Gary Sinise, I don't know how to say it. Sinise, thank you. When he was let go because he reportedly had the measles.
He was exposed to them, and he thought that he was going to get them.
Right, and he ended up being replaced by Kevin Bacon in the story. When Tom Hanks is the leader of that trio, that squad, tells him, and he says, I'm sure they put you up to telling me. And then Tom Hanks' character, John Lovell or something Lovell, he straight up says, I made the call. And you see the look on his face, on Gary's face.
Lieutenant Dan.
And it really, you see he's angry at him first, just through his eyes. He doesn't say anything. You see, disappointment,
anger, and then realism.
Immediate.
And then realism.
Yeah. The first thing he says is, "I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision," and like that's so realistic. That is so humble. It shows how much of a great human being that person is to say that. That's writing you cannot. You got to just appreciate it, and that's something that you cannot replicate that kind of attention to detail as much. You don't see that kind of shit anymore, and I hate to be upset about it. It upsets me how I miss writing that's like this.
But also acting.
Yes.
And he saw it, he felt it, he knew it.
Yep.
And he recreated it.
Yes, and then you see him later on. He's drinking beers and he's upset about it and everything.
And he's like, "Damn, I could have been there.
Son of a bitch." And then he turns off the TV, and then that's when they're showing the special report that they're
just
stranded. And he realized, I dodged a bullet, and now he's got to save him and everything.
Now he's got to save him.
Then he's going to go back in the simulator.
Help save him.
Right, because he wants to go in the simulator to try to get them power to get them back home.
Yeah, because he knows that ship better than anybody.
Right, that's why he was the prime... the commander of
it's an incredible film. It is an incredible film, yep. And it makes you. And see, my family. I meant to say, my family went and saw that launch. My family went to Cape Kennedy to see that launch in 1970. I think Danny went, Toy Jean went, Patty, some of her kids.
And you were telling me that your experience with the situation on the news, you couldn't really grasp it.
They were comparing it to that explosion in 1967. Mm-hmm. They were like, "Oh, it's going to be just like that explosion in 1967." And I was a little kid, and I was like, "What explosion?" Because I don't remember the explosion. I just remember that some astronauts died. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I was like, "What explosion?" And my family was like protecting me, saying, "Don't worry about it. You shouldn't be talking about things like that.
Oh
Don't worry about that. What are you talking about, explosion?" They were trying to protect me. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" But I remember it. Mm-hmm. I remember it. And they were saying their oxygen was failing.
Yes.
And they were talking about they were going to run out of oxygen. I remember that. Mm-hmm. I remember them talking, saying, "They just saw that launch. They were just there." And I remember all that. And it's like, oh my gosh. It's all coming back, and it makes you feel like, and I'm getting chills right now, it makes you feel like I was part of that. Even though it was nothing, I was a little granular sand.
And now you get to see it as an adult, at least in this retelling of it, per se. But no, this is a fantastic movie. It made $355 million in the box office, and that's just off the box office. That's not including the rental sales, which I'm sure exploded from here on, too, with a $52 million budget. You just see the love and care that was put into this film. It was very expensive to make, but very much worth it too. I mean, it snagged so many nominations for awards.
It did?
Oh, it got a ton of it, including Best Picture was nominated for.
The music was beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It was nominated for Best Picture, didn't win. I don't know what it won to. It lost to, rather.
But it was the 30th anniversary we watched this year.
So it was really... I'm glad that we had a chance to see it again, because I love this movie. I could see it over and over again. Like I told you off recording, I mean, if you asked me to see it right after we finished watching it, I'd say, yeah, let's do it. Because it's that good. So I give it 5 stars.
5. I give it 10.
10 out of 5. 13 out of 5.
15. 16.
No, but 18. 13 out of 5. Call it 13. Okay,
no.
Now you get it. All right, last but not least, we have The Devil Wears Prada, released June 30th, 2006. It was directed by Dave Frankel, who recently did Jerry and Marge Go Large, a smaller film. It was also written by Aline Brosh McKenna, who is the co-creator of My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, that TV show. So in case you've never seen it before, a recent college graduate in journalism takes the role as second assistant to the editor-in-chief of a popular fashion magazine. She's thrust into the world of toxicity, bullying, and their views of the fashion industry, causing her to question her future. I've never seen this movie before until last week.
I was shocked.
How many times have you seen this movie?
Probably at least 5.
So the actors are Anne Hathaway. The big standouts are Anne Hathaway, Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt, which is completely different how she is now, Stanley Tucci, Adrian Grenier. I mean, and that's who played Anne Hathaway's boyfriend in the movie itself. It had a pretty big budget of $35 to $41 million approximately, and it made $326 million in the box office.
The reason I've watched it so many times is because I like to study Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep and Emily Blunt. And I liked Stanley Tucci's role in this. And I like the blonde guy. I don't know why you don't have his name.
Oh, let me grab his name real quick. But what?
Never can remember his name.
But did you see this movie in theaters?
I don't remember if I saw. I might have. What year did it come out?
2006.
I might have.
I remember seeing this on TV all the time, especially on Bravo. It was on Bravo a bunch of times.
I might have seen it in the theaters. I probably did because if it was about fashion and I probably did because it was about magazines. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'm big into magazines, you know that. So I probably saw it in magazines. I probably saw it in theaters.
Simon Baker plays the blonde guy, Christian Thompson, that you were asking about.
Yeah. So I probably saw it because of magazines because I was big into magazines then.
So what do you? I mean, you've seen it a few times now, but what really makes it stand out to you that you really appreciate about this movie?
I love I love the way Meryl Streep plays a real royal witch.
Yes. I was going to say female dog next.
Royal witch. And how Anne Hathaway, has to deal with it. However, this time that I watched it, there's some things that are not believable. There's things that are not believable that I didn't notice before. Mm-hmm. Like Anne Hathaway's hair. She doesn't even comb her hair.
Yeah.
She doesn't even comb her hair.
When she first gets into the job, she doesn't dress up at all.
She doesn't even comb her hair.
She looks like she just got out of bed. And I'm like, why would you do this?
It's not believable.
No.
And then I noticed better that Emily Blunt is so polished. She's so good in this. Yeah, you would never believe that she was anybody else outside of the camera, and that she was so good. She's so good in this. And so...
To me, it's clear the acting really is what makes this movie stand out. If it was anything else, it would not have stood up as well as it did. From all the actors, for that matter.
That Meryl Streep is so... She's icy. She is so icy in this.
But what makes her so great is that she's not this loud, obnoxious woman. She's very calm and collected. But you hold on to every word she says because of how cool she is. She's very much the opposite of what you expect.
It's her eyes. It's the eyes, how she does her eyes and how she makes you feel. I've had bosses like that. I had a boss called Marge at GMAC that was very hard on me. Oh my gosh. But I learned so much from her. But what could she just look right through you. She could look right through you. Mm-hmm. So I understood. And you got angry. You got extremely angry in this film, about this film.
What bothered me the most was...
The boyfriend.
The boyfriend. Anne Hathaway's friends, because she was getting more involved in the fashion world. And there's my thing.
No, and her job. She got more at her job.
Because that's the thing, is that, and we talked about this before, we started recording here, is that my big thing is that in the movie, over time she gets more involved in the fashion world because she's trying to adapt to the job because she wants to keep it, because she'll get any job she wants to after doing at least a stint for a year at this place. And she ends up dressing better, and she starts taking care of herself better, but she starts putting more job responsibilities ahead of her personal life. But she doesn't really change her personality. She just does more events and does more things, stays later for work, but she's still the same person that she was. And then her friends start getting free stuff from her because she gets free stuff from her job. And they start taking the stuff, and they really appreciate it.
They just show that in one scene.
They do. But then, later on, they start being really, nasty to her, saying, "You're not who you used to be. You used to be different, and now you're changed. And now...
You're one of them.
You're one of them now." I'm thinking, she's not one of them. You could see it. She doesn't act like one of them. She's been late for stuff. And you pointed that out, that she was late for some events, and she said, I'll get there as fast as I can.
I'm trying, and she's still her same self. She's just having more responsibility.
Right.
But what...
And she's trying to succeed in her job.
Yeah, she's trying to succeed in her job. But what got me, though, which I didn't like, when that guy saw her at that big event, and she was leaving for the birthday, and the guy said, "Oh, the New Yorker's inside. I can introduce you right now. I love what you wrote, what you sent me, the packet. I can introduce you to the New Yorker right now." And that's all she wanted, was to work for the New Yorker. That was her dream job. she could have gone right in there and met that guy for the New Yorker, which she would have done.
Mm-hmm.
But she left to go meet her loser boyfriend who didn't care really about her.
Mm-hmm.
She would have done that. She would have gone in and met that guy for the New Yorker. That was her in. That was her in. Networking was her in. Everybody in New York... Let me tell you something.
Right. Yeah, because...
Everybody in New York knows that it's networking. It's who you know.
Mm-hmm.
She went to New York to get in the network.
And her thing would be, how great would it be if I come home, yes, late, but with saying, I got to get this opportunity. I can work for the New Yorker now.
The whole point that she got that job was it was an in
towards the New Yorker.
Towards the New Yorker. So why would she turn around and say no?
I got to go meet my boyfriend
for his birthday.
It wasn't like some big event. It's a birthday. It's a birthday. They've been dating for years.
She could say, we'll celebrate tomorrow, honey. I'm at the so-and-so to meet the New Yorker guy who's going to get me into the New Yorker. Say goodbye to Miss Witch.
In one scene, the scene before all this...
That and I never noticed it before because I was always looking at Meryl Streep's acting. I was always looking at Anne Hathaway's acting, Emily Blunt's acting.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't looking at the whole picture of the storyline because I was just looking at the acting. Then when I was looking at the storyline, I was like, this is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
In the scene right before that situation happens, she's at the bar with her friends, and they're talking about, like, they're kind of putting her down and her job down, and she's saying, well, I do get this, and she's pulling out this thousands of dollars of free stuff,
merchandise,
and like including purses, and her friends like, ooh, I'll take that, and they start taking her stuff, which like she's giving it to them, which is nice of her, very nice of her to do that.
And then when she got a phone call. Mm-hmm. They all rolled their eyes.
Like, oh, it's work again.
It's work again.
It's like, listen, she just gave you thousands of dollars of free stuff.
So there was a.
And her friends are awful. Her friends are terrible. And her boyfriend was being terrible and very selfish. Like, we want the old her back. She never was gone. And there's a difference though. That it should have been written like, we're seeing less of you. We're worried about you. That you're putting your work above yourself. And that's a very believable thing. That's what a real friend would do. And they treat her like crap, and I really did not like that. And I had to put down the movie for that because there's a difference between writing that it's almost realistic, but it's like they're writing a completely different movie, a completely different character.
But she should have walked in to that event to meet that guy if he had an in, mm-hmm. and he liked her work, and he could help her get a job to meet with the New Yorker, and that's what she really wanted to do.
Yes. So there are definitely some pinpoints of issues with the film and its storytelling, but I think it does all wrap up quite nicely and does well at the very end of it too. It tells a good story from beginning to end, and the acting really does show it. I don't blame the actors at all, their friends or anything. I blame the writing. Simple as that. And I'm not going to speak about how inspired, how realistic it is to the real story about this was inspired by. I don't care about that. As a film itself, I mean, is there anything that you really wanted to point out that you really appreciated or didn't appreciate about this movie?
I just told you.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure there's anything else.
No.
So, with that said, what would you give it out of 5 stars?
Oh, I forgot to mention, I think Stanley Tucci met his future wife, Emily Blunt's sister, during the making of this film.
I think so?
Yes. I told you. Yeah. He married Emily Blunt's sister. So I think they met during the making of this film. Anyway, so...
So what would you give it out of 5 stars?
3.5.
3.5?
And the only reason is because there's holes in the writing.
I give it a 4. I think...
Oh, wow. You gave it high. But see, I've seen it several times.
Right.
So...
I'm thinking about 3.5, but I'm thinking, you know what, though? This is a movie that I could see again, maybe a couple more times. I don't say that very often for 3.5 star or 3-star films. This is something I can appreciate it from beginning to end. I give that 1 star down.
I'm being very critical now because I've seen it so many times, and now I see some really, really flaws in it.
Mm-hmm. I see less flaws compared to other films I've seen that are like 3.5 stars.
Okay, well, I see more flaws in it now.
It's something that I could see why it's so culturally impactful, even though it's not something that I go out to see. It's not something that I would traditionally see, except out of morbid curiosity. I see and appreciate it because it does show a lot of very, very realistic character moments, especially at the end. I like when at the very end with Emily Blunt's character and her. And when she leaves the industry, And then she calls Emily Blunt's character and asks her, I have all this stuff I'm not going to wear anymore. Do you want it?
That shows her real true character
Yeah,
and how sweet she was.
Yeah, and Emily Blunt's character, she's such a cold... She's worse than Meryl Streep's character at times. And then she starts to break down into tears because it was such a nice thing for her to do. Like, that, to me, it brings it up to that 4-star for me.
Okay.
So...
All right.
Yeah, but thank you all so much. This was a great time. There's a lot of movies we saw this week. And summer is not ending anytime soon. We have... Our lists are huge. I assure you, if you're listening to this, we don't have 10 movies. There's 30 movies we usually put down every week nowadays.
And it's
summer.
hard to choose.
So we have to break down all these movies from 30 up till 10. So there's a lot more that we want to talk about in the future and as the years follow about films we want to talk about.
And it's hard to choose between. We try to do an array of different types of film.
Yes, absolutely. So that way we're not just talking about comedies the entire time or dramas and whatnot too. So thank you all so much for listening. Really appreciate it. And
go out and see a movie.
Yeah, go out and see a movie and avoid the heat. Don't get rained out and have a great, happy, and safe 4th of July holiday.
Yes.
Thank you again.